Hi there, spooks and ghouls. Hi guys, Zack here, and before we start this episode, I just want to give a super special spooky shout out to both Daniel Montgomery and Matthew Montgomery, the Terror Twins, who joined me on this episode. They also do a Goosebumps podcast called Welcome to Deadcast, and it was so much fun having them on our show and collaborating because I've always found that our great community of both podcasting and R.L. Stine is one of the greatest, and getting a chance to talk to another podcast and just collaborating and building upon what we love and what we do and just joke and have a good time and talk about these spooky R.L. Stine books was like a super magical treat. And you guys should automatically just listen to Welcome to Deadcast. They're so much fun, and you guys just check them out. It's one of those things that I really believe in, and it's just collaborating as a team. Because of that, I just feel like we should all, stick together, and I've always believed, and if anyone wants to come on the podcast, just message me, Meg, or email us at nightmareonfearstreet@gmail.com, and we can see about scheduling you for an episode. We can literally talk about anything, even review a book. Thanks, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this little interview I did with both Daniel and Matthew, the Terror Twins. Enjoy!
Listeners beware, you're in for a scare.
Howdy, folks. Welcome to Nightmare on Fear Street, an R.L. Stine podcast. And I'm in North Hollywood. I got captured in a van and get over here, guys. And I was like, ooh, boy, free candy. And these strangers have some really nice candy.
Yeah.
And it turned out when they unhooded me and now I'm being waterboarded, I found out this is Welcome to Deadcast.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, we just wanted to kidnap Nightmare on Fear Street and bring it straight to Deadcast Street. Yeah.
Yes. They're now threatening to break my legs unless we stop our show, but I don't think that's going to happen.
You love it.
My legs.
Eat this candy. Eat it.
Oh, God. It's like, oh, shit, there's razor blades in it. I knew my mom was right.
No, wow. That was the darkest turn for me so far for some reason. Do you know that's just a myth? That's never...
Yeah, it's never been proven.
Yeah,
Same as with the people. It's like, don't eat the candy. They might be those edibles, and people are like,
oh,
those are expensive. Don't take those.
Yeah, right.
The only recorded case isn't it as a dad using pixie sticks to poison his own son.
Yeah.
Bum,
Yeah.
bum, bum.
Yeah, that's messed
it's
up.
like one of those myths because people just want it's probably by dentists. They're just like,
Yes.
don't eat that candy.
Yeah.
Every terrible myth is created by a dentist.
Because it's their Black Friday the next day. They're just like, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So I'm here with Welcome to Deadcast. They're also a Goosebumps podcast.
Yes.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been doing your guys' show?
Let's see. It's
4 years?
No. Hasn't it been 3?
No, I think it's 4.
Hold on, let me look.
2014.
3 years, I told you.
Oh, 3 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah, we started, it was July. We were staying at Deb's house. And
Yes.
It was July 2014. Yeah.
Wow, 3 years.
Yeah, so 3.5 years of
Here we
goosebumping
go.
via podcasting. Yeah.
So for all the listeners that haven't listened to Welcome to Deadcast, what do you guys do?
Well, we're twins. I'm Daniel.
I'm Matthew.
And we love Goosebumps.
Obviously. We have just been obsessed with them ever since we were kids. We have a lot of interests, but Goosebumps is the one that's stayed with us the longest. And we had some friends who had mutual podcasts as well, and we were like, we should do a podcast because we just talk about Goosebumps anyway, so we might as well record ourselves. And what we've done is we're going through every book of the original series in order. And we'll stop every now and then. We did a movie review, but when we'll talk about the corresponding television episodes for all the books as well. And as of today,
We are 48 books in.
48 books, 50 episodes.
Yes.
That's really good. We can barely tie our shoes.
I don't know how it's happened, but it will continue to happen.
Yeah, we'll continue. Yeah, we're going to
As long as R.L. Stine keeps writing books.
And he does.
And he will.
He
A lot
will.
of times people who listen to the podcast are like, I wish he still wrote books, or wouldn't it be nice if he wrote Goosebumps? I was like, girl, he still does.
He does.
He has them coming out all the time. People don't know.
I just feel like he's gonna, if he were to, pass away, it would just be his hands would be out of the grave, and he'd just be typing.
Oh, yeah, still put 11 pages a day or whatever.
For years.
You said something on your episode about when you met him that I thought was so interesting because have you listened to the episode where he meets us at Comic-Con? you talk about waiting in line, and like half the people in line are like millennials, like us, and the other half are little kids.
Yeah.
So it's weird because it's this like not dichotomy, but like a fan base where it's like
It's
half of it is-
multi-generational.
Yeah.
It's like, I think the best way to put it is, it's like people that love Star Wars. Do you grow up with Star Wars and your kids like Star Wars?
Yeah.
'Cause
It
there's
spans
not,
the generations.
I guess there's nothing scarier than like universally being horrified by ventriloquist dummies.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things
It's
that
just scary to everyone.
Yeah.
All ages are terrified of slapping the dummy
And they always
and love
will
him.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like really interesting because you had people that were probably like 5 to 6, and then there was people like I'm 22,
Yeah.
and then there was people that were like 30 that grew up with it.
Yeah. And love it.
Oh yeah, I love it. And then
Yeah.
there was like people that like I'm just gonna get my comic book signed so I can sell it on eBay, and like you could easily
those people.
you could easily tell which people were like there to actually meet him, and
Yeah.
then they're like not meet him.
The one thing I like about him so much is he's so accessible. You know what I mean? Like,
He's
especially
so responsive on
on
Twitter.
social media and things like that. He's so. I remember when I was a kid, I would write him letters and he would respond.
Yeah.
But it would take a while, but he always responded.
See, I think that's important because there's a lot of
Yeah.
authors, like if you look at J.K. Rowling, I don't think she's responded to a single mail unless there's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I got like a kidney transplant. Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
10 points to
Griff, right.
Hufflepuff.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah. But he's really good about it. And I think almost every time we've tweeted him, he's responded some kind of way.
Yeah, he's so...
He's a lot of fun to follow on social
Oh
media,
no,
too.
he's funny to follow.
He's so hilarious.
And you know it's just him doing it on his phone, cackling.
Sweet
Yeah,
jovial Bob.
Jovial Bob. Yeah, we love him. Recently, I did. I was working a job, and I was mentioning that I had this Goosebumps podcast. And one of I was in a play, and one of my co-stars was like, Dan and I are both actors. One of my co-stars was like, "Oh, I used to live at his house," and I said, "What?
What?
And she goes, "Yeah, I stayed in his Bob, right?" And I was like, "Yeah," and she was like, "I stayed in his penthouse for 7 months one summer." I was like, "What are you talking about?" So she had done a play in New York, and she became friends with Matt Stine.
Oh,
Earl
okay.
Stine,
Yeah, because he's a
Bob and
sound-
Jane's son.
Yeah, because he's a sound designer in Broadway.
Yeah, exactly. And so she needed a place to crash, and he had an open door policy in his apartment. She's like, have her stay at my place. So she literally lived with R.L. Stine for 7 months.
That's
Isn't that insane?
Isn't that like every kid's dream?
Oh yeah.
I want to do a play in New York just so I can live at our.
I know, but that's the ultimate dream.
Or just be like just doing a play there and you just see him off in the distance and you're just like, gotta stay in character.
I mean, I know where he lives now. I could find out from her, like where. Yeah, and recently he had an article. Was it the New York Times? There was an article that came out recently that was a tour of his apartment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was it New York Times?
It was New York. It was New York Times.
Right.
And in that article, he mentions, I had an actress stay with me one summer. And I texted her and I was like, I know her. I was like, I know, this is my friend Melody. So I texted her, I was like, R.L. Stine's talking about you in the New York Times. She's like, cool. She's like, I should text him. I was like, yo! Like, it was so cool.
The interesting thing about R.L. Stine, if I remember correctly, my friend was telling me because he had met him, was that he didn't have an apartment building. He rented out an apartment floor.
Yes, when the elevator
that's
doors
right.
open,
and
it's into his place.
Yeah, it goes into his place. That seems like such an R.L. Stine thing to do. Like,
Yeah.
you don't just have one apartment. You have the whole apartment.
Yeah, it's so cool. And he was saying he never wants to move, and if he does, he'd only move a couple blocks because his cleaners and his bank and everything
yes.
is walking distance. And he loves that, his neighborhood.
God, there's like...
I know, isn't that so
I
like...
really just want R.L. Stine to like make like a reality TV show.
Oh, yeah.
I just... All the
I want to just see his boring everyday life.
Yeah.
Not that it's boring.
It's probably no. It's like this is the way he looks. Like he just seems like that man's old and doesn't do anything. Is just like
Yeah, little do you know.
Little do you
He
know.
also like guest stars in a bunch of like late night comedy things in New York all the time.
Yeah.
Like improv groups have him as guests, and there's a lot of YouTube footage of him like guest hosting. If you ask him to do stuff, he a lot of the time says yes. I mean, like if you lived in New York, you know what I mean. Like if you like lived down the street from him or something, or had a way of getting a hold of him. Like a lot of times, I learned watching on social media, he says yes to things.
See, that's the great thing. There's a lot of authors that don't really do that. Whereas, I guess because did you ever? I guess you had read It Came from Ohio.
Yeah.
Like it's like his first book signing, only one kid came.
Yeah.
So it's like one like I guess like he took that to heart. Like we'll
Yeah.
get 1 million kids to come next time.
Yeah. I also like that he's not like precious about his material, where it's like with the Goosebumps movie or even the TV show or other like the Haunting Hour, the TV shows made from his stuff. He's kind of like, cool, yeah, take my stuff, do whatever you want. I don't care, go for it, kind of thing. He's not like some taskmaster about it.
No,
he just wants to have fun and just participate in stuff. stuff if people want to.
Especially like he oh yeah, I'll come on my specials and talk about stuff. Like, I'll be my own person.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever see the College Humor video he did where he's talking about the Goosebumps books that weren't published?
I don't think I have.
I don't think I have either.
I'll show it to you guys afterwards,
please.
but it's like he has like funny titles. It's like, stay out of the basement, that's where Dad keeps his magazines.
I'm crying. I have
And,
to see that.
It's really funny. It's like...
See, I love that he has such a great sense of humor.
does.
Oh my god, they're all amazing.
Okay, I'll have to look
That's
that up.
what I'm going to tell you, because that's one of my favorite ones besides...
Don't tell us. We'll watch it.
Yeah,
we'll
and
watch
everyone
it.
who's listening, if you haven't watched it too, look it up immediately after listening to this.
I always try to reference it every time I'm thinking of like a fake...
How did we miss that?
I don't know.
Oh, he has like a bunch of them. They're amazing. Because he does a lot of like College Humor, Funny or Die videos.
Yeah.
He has such a great dry sense of humor. Just that dead, dry delivery of everything that he does.
I'd love him to just do stand-up.
I would
kill.
too.
He would be so good.
He just bring up like his own puppet of himself, and then just like, I'm gonna do water, and it's
Bone
just
dry.
yeah.
He's good at puns. We would always look forward to Night Living Dummy books because to hear what ridiculous thing Slappy was going to say.
Oh, no, especially with me as a kid that just loves puns. Like, I should just be locked up in like a punitentiary.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's like a man after my own heart.
Yeah. These are old joke books and stuff.
Yeah, it really works for me.
We're at my apartment right now, and I was showing Zach my collection earlier, including phone calls. Do you remember that book?
Laughs are on the line.
Yeah, this like the silly joke books they used to write. Like,
Oh, we have a couple that we read one at each end of each show now.
yeah.
So it's one like we'll read a joke each show, and they're all horrible.
Good.
But I'm like, I don't want to look at the joke book because I want to be surprised at which one I find.
The worse they are, the better in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just because they're made for kids, not just what he liked. I would have loved to read like his jokes like when he was growing up that he wrote.
Yeah.
Because they're probably
I bet they're so
1,000 times
stupid.
worse.
I love it.
Yeah, that is one of the reasons why I love Slappy so much, because it's just, you just feel like it's R.L. Stein's excuse to get out the nastiest sort of like
Kid-friendly.
still kid-friendly jokes, like in one fell swoop, just like throw them all out
That's
there.
like, we were talking about, you started reading the Horrorland books, like when you get to the Horrorland part, it's amazing because they're just so funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
They're
it's just like, this
hilarious.
man just like, I'm having so much fun with this.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to like please anyone anymore.
No, he doesn't, because it's like, people will buy my books.
Yeah, with like people like us.
I'll
Yeah,
keep
a
buying
bunch
them.
of people that are like, yes, we need to buy these. Oh, we need that one.
Yeah, collect them all.
Just talking about need all those covers of the Goosebumps comic. I need them.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, no,
I need every cover.
it's really interesting now, especially like, there's been a huge explosion in Goosebumps stuff, because it's the 25th anniversary, but also like, all the people that grew up with Goosebumps are to the point of where like we want to start collecting our childhood again.
Yeah.
So like the Goosebumps movie came out, and now we have like haunted mask replicas that are amazing.
This year, like places like Fright Rags and Trick or Treat Studios
Creepy Company
are starting to pick up on people will spend money on Goosebumps merch.
Yeah, and that's
Like,
that's
I want
the
it
great
all.
thing about it. And R.L. Stein keeps writing books, so of course people are going to buy them. And it's one of those things, especially like even like. The great thing is you don't even have to tell someone the name of the book. You can just show them the cover. And most times they know the entire book.
Yeah.
And what's funny is like almost everyone has a different one that scared them so much. You know what I mean? It's like the Night Living Dummy cover is so terrifying. We have a friend who's...
Why I'm afraid of bees.
That's the one that I can't even look at. I still can't because I have a phobia of bees. So I'm just like, get that thing away from me.
Oh yeah. Like different ones are really,
the barking
really scary.
ghost for some reason scares me.
The barking.
Yeah. Did you know that's his least favorite Goosebumps book? R.L. Stein's
Really?
The Barking Ghost.
I can kind of see that.
Yeah. He doesn't like that one.
I'm surprised it's not like Monster Blood 4. Ooh, that's a bad one.
Ooh, it's really bad. For it to end on that one, I was like, ugh, do we really need a fourth Monster Blood book? But then there's more. There's Monster Blood for Breakfast in the Horrorland series.
I guess that's much better.
At least it wasn't Blue Slugs. Wasn't that so random?
I
take it.
picked it up. It's like one of the first things when I started doing this podcast, and it had the cards and stuff like, oh, someone clearly didn't read this book.
Yeah, right? Oh, God. I think my least favorite is I Don't Like I Live in Your Basement.
I like it. I like it.
Well, that's more of like an Inception thing.
It's more like
so
a fever. It's like a fever dream.
It's a fever dream.
It really doesn't feel like any other book in the series.
The one, like, there's some that I just misremember. Like, I thought they were amazing as a kid.
Oh.
And I'm just like reading it now. I'm just like,
Completely. Can you think of any examples?
Night in Terror Tower.
Oh, really?
Like, I like it, but it's like, to me, I'm like so used to like, they didn't torture anybody, and like they didn't describe. Like, if this was like a Fear Street book, and like, oh yeah, people are getting like flailed and stuff, that'd be horrifying.
When I was a kid, that was the only one that really scared me. For some reason, I remember having to put that one down because I was so frightened by it, and I'm not exactly sure why.
Like, if you think about it, it's like Diet Coke Game of Thrones.
That's true, I guess. Yeah, there is something frightening about.
I think there's
not knowing your last name and being.
I think that's the kind of the scary thing about it, because you have Goosebumps books. If you look at it, each one has like a theme, like Haunted Mask. Because Matt Stine got his head stuck in a Halloween mask. He's like, I can make that's terrifying.
It's such a good book. That one's so amazing.
I guess going back to Night in Terror Tower, it's like being stuck in a place that you don't know in a country you've never been to.
Time, that is really horrifying.
Well, there's some of that in Curse of the Mummy's Tomb too, where
they're stuck in a
that pyramid. Well, not even that, but there's stuff like driving around Cairo in the taxi.
And then the guy just starts laughing at them because they get in, and he's just like, the hotel's like right over there, you idiots.
Yeah, that part.
But for a while, it's like they've been kidnapped.
Oh yeah, there's some weirdly adult stuff with that.
And for that, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's been funny to do this podcast and go back and read the books
as an adult.
Yeah, some of them I did misremember. For example, two of my favorites growing up were You Can't Scare Me and The Werewolf of Fever Swamp. But if you reread those books, nothing really happens in those books. The television episode of The Werewolf of Fever Swamp is incredible.
Yeah, no, because you look at the crazy makeup and special effects. Horrific.
But the book itself is actually not that eventful, and a lot of stuff happens after Grady passes out, and it's in the end the parents tell him what happened, and that was kind of a cop out.
And then there's really great ones with twist endings, like My Hairiest Adventure.
Oh god, that was such a good twist.
It's I'm not going to spoil it for the people that haven't read it, but it's a really good twist.
Yeah.
Same as with the one that messed me up the most was The Blob They Ate Everyone. The ending was just what did I just read?
I know.
My God.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about The Blob That Ate Everyone is that the Blob doesn't show up for quite a while.
Yeah, that's
You're like,
true.
what is this book about? A haunted typewriter?
Yeah, that's true.
What's happening here?
Two of my favorites that I'm really excited to that are later in the series I'm looking forward to getting to are The Curse of Camp Cold Lake and The Haunted School.
Oh yeah.
Those are so good.
They are so good.
Those are probably my top.
They just did on Teen Creeps, they just did Haunted School.
Oh, I saw that, but I haven't listened to it yet.
Yeah.
It's another podcast you should listen to.
Yeah, Teen Creeps is great.
Yeah. It's The Haunted School is one of those that's creepy, but I also love the give you tales to give you more goosebumps.
Yeah,
they have some really horrifying ones.
They really do.
Awesome Ants is one of them.
Yeah, that was a television. They turned that into a TV.
Yeah,
episode.
I'm not sure.
I have those as well. There's one that's mostly Halloween themed ones. There's one that are Christmassy themed.
Yeah, that's one interesting thing that that R.L. Stine does, and now he's doing themes. Why don't we have a Thanksgiving one? It's almost Thanksgiving, and
I don't know. But before Daniel, you got here. Zack brought a copy of one of his Bone Chillers books.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember Frankenturkey from that? He didn't bring Frankenturkey.
Bone Chillers, Empty Graves?
No, Betsy Haynes. But a lot of them were ghostwritten.
Yeah.
Betsy Haynes.
Yeah.
I loved Bone Chillers.
And Tim Jacobus, remember he did the covers of those as well.
Did he do all the covers for them?
No, he did the one that... So my friend Meg, we did an interview with...
Some of them.
With Tim Jacobus.
You have to listen to that episode.
I will.
So we did an interview with Tim Jacobus, and my friend Meg was personally traumatized by this one Bone Chillers book, which was called Why I Quit the Babysitter Club. Mm-hmm. And it's she starts describing the cover to him, I drew that, and she just starts freaking out.
Yeah.
And
it's such a good episode.
The great thing is this will be out, that we actually found the person that apparently wrote the book, but didn't, because they had a printing error, so I just had an interview with David Bernardino. I can't pronounce his last name. I'm so sorry, David. I had a hard time.
But he didn't write the book.
He didn't write the book, so for the longest time, Meg was cursing his name. And then we found
the inside cover. It says it's written by this guy who didn't, and then they interviewed him, but he didn't actually write the book.
Yeah.
It was a mistake.
How could that happen?
I don't know.
Because he written the ones before that, and they just had a printing error. So they put because the ones before that, they had his name on it.
Okay. But that makes more sense as opposed to just some random man who
how dare you?
Yeah, I don't know.
Where my royalty?
Yeah.
You started getting checks in the mail?
Wait a second. I haven't written these books for kids for years.
Betsy Haynes.
Yeah, remember that book? Your Spine Tinglers?
Spine Tinglers? I never read
Spine Tinglers was by M.T. Coffin.
M.T. Coffin. Why?
Because then there's one that we have. It's called The Shadow Zone by J.R. Black.
And I didn't know that one.
I don't know that one either.
They came out mid to 1990, 4 and 5.
Don't remember.
Oh, okay.
And they're terrible.
Yeah.
They were written by a bunch of people, and they're basically the Coke New formula of Goosebumps. And it's just they're.
Do you remember Strange Matter?
We talked about that. No.
Strange
Matter. What was interesting about Strange Matter was super sci-fi, and it looked like Goosebumps books to begin with, like the covers and like the plots, but then it turned into kind of a serial series where it's like it was like an alien invasion kind of thing.
See, that's cool. Like,
yeah,
the one
great.
that I was telling you about was the Galaxy of Fear books that George Lucas made, and they're basically Star Wars Goosebumps books, and they're legitimately, that's what he was marketing as, was Star Wars Goosebumps books.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess back then, I mean, like when R.L. Stine
exploded.
And everyone was like, wait, we can make a ton of money doing kids' scary books. It's like everyone jumped on the bandwagon.
And the interesting thing that I always find when trying to like search for Goosebumps books, you guys have your original set, is for me trying to re-find a bunch of them, it's really hard.
Where do you go? Where do you find them?
So I go online now, but I used to go to like thrift stores and like used bookstores, and they never had them because they're so sought after.
Right.
Like, just if you go into like any store and you like ask for them, they'll just show you the classic ones. And they don't have that. Yeah. I don't want those. I want like Beast from the East and like the Legend of the Lost Legend.
Yeah.
But they don't make. Well, I guess now they do. Yeah. But they don't make them.
Right. Yeah. They're hard to find. Are they expensive when you find them online? Or
like $3 or $4 each.
Do you get used? You get used.
Yeah, I have to get used.
Yeah, of course you do.
Especially like trying to find all the Fear Street books. It's nearly impossible.
My gosh, I can't even imagine.
It's one of those things where you just, we actually had a person, Becca, who donated a bunch of her old copies to our show, so we have like 15 new books that we have.
That's so nice.
That's like Christmas morning.
Oh, it was like Christmas morning, because she like sent me, I'd like to send you like a couple of books. Like, oh, that's good, that'll help us with our collection. She sends me this big box. I'm like,
oh my gosh.
I didn't order anything,
God,
Mom, and I opened it up,
amazing.
and it's just 15 books that I don't have, and I'm just like,
wow, what a gift.
I was like, oh my god.
That's so awesome.
It's like one of those, it's like, I love the Goosebumps community just because, same as with the horror community, like we're all like a tight-knit group of people.
Yeah.
And especially like, trying to find all these books and just trying to read them because they're never going to be reprinted again. That's the weird thing.
It's so sad.
Yeah, it's really sad.
So I guess it's kind of like our goal to like try to preserve these so you can have them.
Wouldn't it be such I know they do classic reprints and they've done new covers and they reprint some of the Fear Street books with like
sometimes
with new sort of covers, and even there's been times trying to update it with like cell phones and
modern stuff.
But wouldn't it be such magic if they reprinted all the books with the original covers?
Yeah, you mean like I'm surprised they haven't done that for like Christopher Pike books yet,
right?
Yeah,
I wish that would be.
I'm pretty sure. I'm surprised they. I'm not sure because it's all like marketing stuff, most likely, and it's like, oh, we'd have to talk to Jim Jacobus about it, and he'd be like, yeah, let's do it. And then people in the suits would be like, no, it's cheaper.
There must be a money reason why.
I'm pretty like everyone would be like, people would like buy these in dump trucks.
Yeah, myself included.
I would.
Like if they released if they just like released all 62 of them again, and just been like, here guys, here's a box set for $200, I'd be like,
yes.
Google how many kidneys does one need to live?
Yeah, completely. Like I wouldn't even. Yeah, people go crazy for that.
And especially like once again, like they have all these wonderful masks and Halloween costumes, and with
that people are buying. It's
like there's a market there.
Yeah,
especially with the Goosebumps podcast, because they keep popping up.
I know.
Yeah.
And
it's because we love it so much. We're passionate about it.
I never asked you guys, which is your guys' all favorite books?
Go for it, Dion.
My favorite is, and I just listened to your guys' episode of this, my favorite is Night of the Living Dummy. I love
the original.
The original, because I love the fake out. Well, not the fake out, but I love
the great twist ending.
I love the great twist. It's so Friday the 13th. For me, it's like the real.
Yeah, it's like because I never really read Night of the Living Dummy. And then reading it now, because I try not to read the books before we do the reviews, just to be surprised again. And I was like, we're slappy in this. And
I know.
It's like the ending happens, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. I just think,
because I guess because it's interesting because you're so used to like slappy.
You think of Night of the Living Dummy 2 is really what people are thinking of.
Yes, because they never made Night of the Living Dummy 1 as a TV show.
No, they're just,
I remember like looking at like on Netflix, like where's the first one? There's only the second one.
Yeah, so strange.
I like that it's early on in the series, and the protagonists are twins, and we can identify with that. And when I was little, looking at the cover, I thought I looked a little bit like Slappy. I was like, I have blue eyes or like light eyes and like dark hair, and I feel like it's one of those earlier ones that it's a little darker.
Oh, he chokes a dog.
He chokes the dog.
Like, that would be like, does the dog die at the end.com? They'd be like, yeah, it doesn't question mark.
Yeah.
It's rough. The talent show, all of that, like, all the green like stuff flying out of Mr. Wood's.
And then he just has like a roast fest and all the old people.
It's so nasty and weird.
Yeah,
and it's
dangerous.
kind of terrible sometimes. And like, I love the twist at the end. And for me, it's just schlocky goodness.
I think that's the one thing I love is just the schlocky goodness that R.L. Stine does, because he takes these, like, he could have easily made him like a zombie thing, not a living dead. Or not, like, it's like all people are turning into like.
And there's something so old, like the idea of a ventriloquist dummy is something that no one can really relate to, for the most part.
But it's this weird, like, antiquated idea, but we're all familiar with it, and we're all scared of it, even though in our everyday lives we don't really
see a lot of ventriloquist dummies.
No, unless you see unfunny Jeff Dunham.
Unless you see Jeff Dunham.
That's right. Oh, I'm sorry. Quality Jeff Dunham.
You guys
Where's my check?
You guys mentioning him in that episode. It's so great. But, for me, I have a lot of favorites. I really do. I really.
How about top 5?
Yeah, we can do this. I'll let Daniel speak, and then I got things to say too.
Shocker and Shock Street.
That's a really good one.
Absolutely love. I love Haunted Mask, which is also one of Matthew's favorites. Welcome to Dead House. I also love, not only because it's the first one, but because it is the darkest, I think, of the books.
They kill the dog in that one.
They kill the dog. There's blood in that. It's
people like their faces melt off.
Faces melt off.
Yeah, it's really
like
messed
if
up.
you think like compare Welcome to Dead House to like one of the old like later on. Let's like How to Learn How to Fly.
Yeah,
it's like. The same person wrote these?
I always thought that like Scholastic stepped in and was like, these are two. Because for a while,
he even admits that he at that point.
Well, because at that time he's still trying to write Fear Street books, and this was supposed to be like his.
Yeah, and they wanted him to get funnier instead of being scary.
Yes, right? Which works, I find, because if you have like super generic horror, it doesn't have a nice flair to it, whereas. It's both funny and horrific at the same time.
I always wanted them to be a little bit more dangerous.
That's why I like reading. I've actually started liking reading Fear Street books because they're horrific, but sometimes they're hilarious.
Oh yeah, they're a total blast. I love Fear Street.
Then Attack of the Jack-O-Lanterns.
Yeah, for me, it's my favorite is the Haunted Mask for sure. For Halloween, I went as Carly Beth, the Haunted Mask, and Daniel went as Slappy. But my top would be the Haunted Mask, Attack of the Jack-O-Lanterns, Curse of Camp Cold Lake, the Haunted School. The reason why the Haunted Mask is just a perfect book, and it's a perfect television episode. It's as good as the TV.
It's a really amazing adaptation. And I think the most horrific thing about it is anyone can buy a mask, and that's always like a fear, especially like if you put one on or even put on like latex. Like some people just start sweating, and it's really hard to breathe in.
Yeah. The other night on Halloween night,
did it get stuck?
I had people over, and we did like a drinking game to the Haunted Mask. That's what we did on Halloween night, and everyone took turns putting on the mask, and it is a really tight fitting mask. To get off. Actually,
so I talked to the person that made the mask for the Trick or Treat Studios, and they purposely made it a little tighter to get off. That's a little joke.
Oof!
They purposely did that.
That's good to know because
fantastic.
like it's a tight squeeze. I mean, that one's so good on that episode just got in television episode and the book fires on all cylinders because it reminds me of like a Pixar movie because the villain is kind of. The story of it is, Carly Beth is this girl who's totally bullied at school, and everyone's telling her she's like a scaredy cat. And so to fight back, she kind of wants to scare everyone, but then turns into this monster. And so it's kind of this like the villain or protagonist is to me reminds me of a Pixar movie because the villains are always sympathetic to start off with, and they come from a place of hurt, and it evolves into this place of becoming a monster. And a symbol of love is what takes the mask off.
Oh my God, I'm like getting a little teary. I'm like thinking of like the first 7 minutes of Up right now. Thank you.
Completely. But that's why this book is so amazing is because it's just a fantastic story with a complete arc, and it's terrifying, but it's kind of like you learn a lesson, but it's like you don't realize it doesn't feel
it's not like a morality play where it's like over the head, like be careful what you wish for.
No, it doesn't feel like that at all.
It's more like one like we haven't read the book yet. It's she steals the mask, doesn't she? She takes it.
You know what? In the TV episode, she throws the money at him and takes the mask. In the book, he reluctantly sells it.
Oh, he reluctantly sells it.
He's not thrilled about it, but he warns her.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like I always thought like she stole the mask.
She more or less steals it in the television episode, and that's I think the Haunted Mask 2, and then Goosebumps Horrorland number 4, The Scream of the Haunted Mask, is excellent. And it works as a trilogy.
And also, the great thing is the design that they made for the mask is so recognizable.
Yeah, everyone knows it.
It could have been like a generic, like, Ooga Booga type of mask.
Yeah, but everybody knows it.
Yeah, on Halloween night, wearing that mask and the overalls and the shirt that Carly Beth wears on the cover of the first book, everyone knew who I was. I didn't have to explain.
And we're talking about books that are over 25 years old.
And people know those images.
And that's a great testament to both Jim Jacobus and R.L. Stine working together.
Yeah.
I want to know your other choice.
Oh, did I not have... Oh, there's a fifth?
Didn't you say... You said Haunted Mask.
Haunted Mask, Attack of the Jack-O-Lanterns, Curse of Camp Cold Lake, and The Haunted School are my top 4.
What's your other choice?
I don't know. Let me think. Hold on. I'm getting up.
He's getting up, everybody. He's going over to his... I would describe this. Oh, he's looking at him. He has like a really nice collection of Goosebumps books. There's also a lot of great DVDs that I'm just like, ooh. And
this is hard. All in order. Come on. You have to pick.
I love The Girl Who Cried Monster. That one's really, really good. Headless Ghost was fun to read again.
Ice Cream.
Beware the Snowman is really good.
I do really like Beware the Snowman.
I like Beware the Snowman.
But would you say it's in your top 5?
I don't know.
See, the problem though is it's like... It's an interesting like list of 162, and it's like sometimes they move up, sometimes they move down, depending on how you age. I feel like, especially like I know people that are like fathers now, and like they try to find the books that aren't as scary for their kids. But it's like these ones scared me as a kid, but they don't scare my kid.
Oh, this is tough.
I have a special place in my heart for The Ghost Next Door. Not the TV episode.
Well, see, that was one where, as a kid, I never liked it. And then when we reread it and forget the TV episode. When we reread the book for our podcast, I was like, oh, damn, this book is really good. I was like, Daniel was right. Like, that one gets kind of emotional at the end. That one, if you remember that one, Hannah's kind of like, and then for the movie too, she like straight up dies. And it's like,
again.
And like, and it's kind of touching. If I had to pick a fifth just for now, I'm going to say, The Girl Cried Monster.
Great.
Another one I will say...
We're just about to review that one, so I'm excited.
Fantastic.
Don't tell me anything about it.
Oh, man. When's the last time you've seen that television episode?
Recently. I just remember I was like, well, what's for dinner? You like cherry pie?
Do you know what's leaving Netflix today?
No. Today.
I know. Isn't that garbage?
It's okay. I'll just dust off like my DVDs.
Oh yeah,
but it
makes me so.
I bought almost all of them on iTunes to begin with before they were on Netflix.
Hopefully they renew it or they put it on Hulu or something.
Yeah, maybe it's hopping over to Hulu. We should check that
back around.
Because they did that, like, for the longest time it wasn't there, especially, like, the Haunting Hour.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's probably just, like, Halloween's over, guys. We're going to shelf it for a little bit, and then...
Hopefully.
And then we'll bring it back very soon.
It's all licensing.
You've watched the episode recently. That's such a good episode. The Girl Cried Monster is such a fun
That's actually the very first Goosebumps episode I remember.
It's really frightening. It's really
I just remember just because the monster they had in it, even though now I just laugh at it.
Yeah.
It was horrifying.
But, like, the fact that there's this monster, like, chasing this girl locked in the library going, Lucy, like, that whole thing is so messed up.
And then the ending is just like, what?
Yes. Yeah.
It's such a
Originally, R.L. Stine had, because he eats turtles in the book.
And he eats crickets in the
TV episode. But the turtles that he's eating in the book, originally he was eating children bones or something like that. And Scholastic stepped in and was like, no, we have to change that. And they changed it to turtles instead of kids. Even though he's like, the idea is he eats children, but they couldn't have that directly in the book. Yeah, that's on the Goosebumps Wikipedia. Do you ever check that?
Yeah, I check it all the time.
I love it.
I usually like to look at it before I review an episode. Yeah. Just to get, even though I finished literally reading that episode minutes before that we start, I like
do
just
the
have like a nice digest and read
Totally. And we like looking at the foreign covers. Like some of them are
the
horrifying. Japanese covers are so scary.
The Japanese covers are terrible. I like the French ones.
The French one, Le Goosebumps.
Yeah. Yeah, those are fun.
What are your 5 favorites?
Oh gosh, I think my 5 favorites.
Your number 1 is Cuckoo Clock.
Cuckoo Clock of Doom.
That's great.
Number 5 has to probably be actually Night in Terror Tower.
Yeah,
it's one of those because it just has a special place in my heart.
And the television episode's really good too.
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful episode. I'm basing it also off that episode where it has a completely different ending. But It's
Yeah.
like I just
That's my strangely. So I have all these DVDs sitting in front of me, but I actually don't have a DVD or Blu-ray player. It broke. I only have a VCR, which is in my bedroom. So I literally only watch VHS tapes. Not even kidding. So if you see the Goosebumps VHS tapes I have up there, Night in Terror Tower, I always, when I'm folding laundry, watch a Night in Terror Tower in VHS.
That's adorable.
I don't know why, but that just became a thing. I hate laundry and doing all that stuff. So to look forward to it now, I was like, I'll just put that on my VCR in my bedroom while I put my clothes away. And I look forward to it now.
Yeah. No, so my other ones, so I said Night in Terror Tower.
Cuckoo Clock and Doom.
Cuckoo Clock and Doom
Three
is,
more.
is number one. I think Legend of Lost Legend is,
Okay.
it's one of those where I love the ending of it.
Yeah.
As well as I think the cover just always, like, for me, because I love fantasy and, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the most fantasy ones.
It's the most fantasy.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where...
Do you know Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid? The
Yes.
Christmas 2000 one? That one's really, really good, too. That's like a fantasy kind of one.
I like, for me, I used to collect a lot of, like, sword and sorcery books.
Yeah.
Just because they were just fun to look at.
Yeah.
But it's like stuff like that. It just has a special place in my heart.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I just got really excited.
Oh, no, you're fine, you're fine.
I just got excited. Very excited.
I think one of my other favorite ones is actually a Goosebumps 2000s book. It's, was it Earth Geeks Must Go?
Oh, yeah.
It's funny.
The original title of that book was Earth Geeks Must Die. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I think if you look... Hold on.
It's such an intense cover, too.
It is.
It's like something that, like, Judas Priest would put out on an album.
Hold on. Let me see if I'm right about this. No, I'm a liar. I remember as a kid seeing... I'm going to speak loud because I know I'm behind the mic.
Or you can just come right back here. That's the beauty of editing.
I remember seeing... Because when Goosebumps books would come out... I would race to look at the book, like race to the bookstore, race to look at the back of the book to see what the name of the next title was. And I thought I had remember seeing in the back of Slappy's Nightmare that Earth Geeks Must Die was the next book. And then when it came out, it was Earth Geeks Must Go. I was like, huh. But anyway.
It's just one of those funny books that it has a great cover and has a great concept.
I need to read that one again. It's been a long time.
I read it recently when I got it, and it just slowly became one of my favorite Goosebumps books. And then number 2 has to be The Blob That Ate Everyone's, just because I'm a narcissist and the main character's name is Zack.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
So it's always like if you ever had like an elementary school when kids would get super excited when they hear their name in a book.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like, ooh, I get my name in a book though.
Yeah.
It's funny because my name is Zack and there's literally thousands of Zacks in Goosebumps books. So we have a joke on our show like, we're that person if our name is in the book.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, how did you feel about this? Well, you see, Zack, I had half my head shaved on one side. Then you go on the other side, it's really hard to maintain.
Yeah.
So it's like stuff like that is what I love. But for me, growing up, I was past Goosebumps when it was like popular, so I was getting it at thrift bookstores and going to the book fair and finding them still there.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the
Book
high that I
fairs.
chase forever in my life now.
Oh, book fairs.
Book fairs were the best.
Oh, yeah,
Absolute
that's so fun.
Magic.
My favorite Goosebumps 2000 book was Jekyll and Heidi.
I just bought Jekyll and Heidi.
It's a real treat.
Oh, I'm so excited.
That one's dark. That one's really, really dark. Yeah, and I
like
liked
the
it a
haunted
lot.
car.
The haunted, yeah, he likes the
Beep
haunted.
Beep, Haunted Prius.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good ones in 2000.
They're much darker.
Creature Teacher is really fun.
And also the covers are super like
That one's
gnarly,
really
like
nice.
compared to like
Attack of the Graveyard Ghouls? Oh my god.
Headless Halloween is so good. That one's messed up.
Yeah, no, especially like, it's interesting to hear people that, you know, grew up when the books were coming out compared to me. It's just, I haven't had a time in my life where I haven't seen all the Goosebumps books. I'll be like, whoa, a new one?
Yeah.
It's such,
And they're still
coming out.
I don't have all of them. It's frustrating.
That's the weird thing. You would imagine, like, huge Goosebumps fans like us would have every single Goosebumps book, but it's impossible.
I just need to get a couple of Hall of Horrors ones.
Those are hard to get.
Yeah, and then I'm not caught up in Slappy World yet.
Luckily, there's only 3 out now.
Yeah.
But you have to get those quickly because, you know, I feel like those are just going to go disappear eventually.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Do you remember about Goosebumps Gold? Did you ever hear about that?
Yeah, Goosebumps like that. Those were so. For people that don't know what Goosebumps Gold was, it was the series after 2000s.
Yeah.
So there was supposed to be another Haunted Mask.
Haunted Mask lives.
There was supposed to be a Dead House sequel.
Happy Holidays from Dead House.
And then there was supposed to be Slappy New Year, which that one actually came out.
That just came out.
But
there's this weird, like, hidden Tim Jacobus painting artwork
and
for the
apparently R.L. Stine had written some of them, or like he had written like the
it started
rough drafts,
outlines.
What a
and stuff.
tease!
Like I'd love to see those.
Yeah.
See, like especially like. How could you make a sequel to Welcome to Dead House and Christmas time?
I know it hurts that we can't have it.
Yeah.
Hey, R.L. Stine, if you're listening to this, can you just...
I know you are.
I know you are.
Please, just write it for us. We're your biggest fans.
Send us the outline.
Send us, just release those, because Jim Jacobus released some of the Goosebumps 2000s books that he didn't... They only had the... Because he had the one for The Amazing Fifth Grader.
Fifth Grader, that's
and
right.
then Slappy New Year, I think, was one of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And...
Did you say your 5? Did you get all 5 of your favorites out? Yeah.
Yeah, I got all 5 of my favorites. So it was... This is the wonder of editing.
Yeah.
Nine Tower Tower, Legend of the Lost Legend,
Cuckoo Clock of Doom.
Cuckoo Clock of Doom's number 1, Earth Geeks Must Go,
And the Blob Lady Everyone.
Blob Lady Everyone, and the Cuckoo Clock of Doom. Boom.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
There are your 5.
There you go.
Yeah, that's good.
I love that.
It's the interesting thing is you can ask anyone what their 5 favorite Goosebumps books are, and they're not
gonna be the same.
You would imagine like people would be like, oh, number 1 is Night of the Living Dummy, then The Haunted Mask, and then like
One Day at Horrorland.
One Day at
really popular,
like the really popular ones that you think of, and it's like no.
Yeah, we have a friend who Egg Monsters from Mars is his favorite.
Yeah, he loves Egg Monsters from Mars. That's his favorite.
Yeah.
And then especially like
Weird ass book. That book is so crazy.
my favorite still is like It Came from Beneath the Sink, but I like the TV episode because it's like Potato Growl.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
And it turns out like that girl grew up to do Hannibal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
She's
right.
It's like a TV show. Catherine Isabel.
Yeah, Catherine Isabel. Yeah.
And then there's like Ryan Gosling with like a weird stupid bowl haircut.
Amazing.
Like if I ever were to meet him, I'd just be like, here, can you sign my Say Cheese and Die?
Yeah. Is that incredible?
I feel like he would just stop and like look at him like, what is this thing?
Yeah. There's some really good some really bad, but some really good actors.
Yeah, what about that?
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah, the Say Cheese and Die episode has him and Scott Speedman. Yeah, he plays a cop for no reason.
Hey, what are you doing here?
I know. He's like, hey, kid. Or like, whatever.
But yeah, like intimidates. Like,
yeah, you never even see him without his sunglasses on. It's just like,
that's a good amount.
You can't lie to us, kid.
That's the interesting thing about Goosebumps and why we're afraid of the dark, or are you afraid of the dark, is they had like this weird cameos, I would call them. Glorified cameos from people that become super big later in life.
Yeah.
There's a little crossover, too.
Yeah, no, because, did you go to the Midsummer Scream, Are You Afraid of the Dark panel?
I did. I was at Midsummer Scream, but I didn't.
Okay, so they actually had the 2 people there. So the interesting thing about it is they would make Goosebumps episodes and Are You Afraid of the Dark. Like, one of the directors would go in between them. And one of them, I thought was the funniest, was that they had this one really terrible kid actor, and he kept auditioning for roles and roles and roles. Like, we can't have him in here. Like, just get him out of here. He then auditioned to become Anakin Skywalker in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith as Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
And they refused to have him on there because he was awful.
Yeah.
He's so perfect in Night of the Living Dummy 3, though.
Yeah.
For what that needs to be.
Yeah.
It's such a weird...
Zane is just like a, oh god kind of kid, where you're like, oh gosh, Zane's so embarrassing.
Why am I drawing a blank in that woman's name who's like the producer that we met at the Goosebumps premiere? We took pictures with her and we emailed her, and I can't remember her name right now.
Deborah Forte.
Deborah Forte. So Deborah Forte was one of the producers of the Goosebumps series, and we were like geeking out to meet her. We got to go to a press conference thing for the Goosebumps movie and like introduce ourselves there and like blah blah blah, and she gave us her email address, and we've been emailing back and forth with her, and she was saying how they couldn't find enough actors in Canada because they literally cast every kid actor, and they repeated several actors throughout the series because there were so many kids in every episode they ran out of actors.
That seems like a weird thing for a country. Yeah. It's like, the weird thing about the 90s is a lot of people think that a lot of American TV shows were actually filmed in Canada, like The X-Files is one of them. It's like, you wouldn't imagine that.
Yeah.
Or like a lot of kids shows, like all the Nickelodeon shows, like Dude Ranch, I think, and
Hey Dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, Are You Afraid and Goosebumps were shot.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Like all those are in Canada, and you would imagine like those are American TV shows. No, they're not.
No.
Because you can tell it's like just everyone would say a boot.
Yeah.
A boot.
I'd look forward to it.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, it made me so happy.
No.
The blades. Or like, well, yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Oh no, the attack of the Haunted Moose.
What are you talking about?
I'm sorry. Get out of my house.
Get out of my house.
Let's go play some football. Yeah. The one interesting thing I love about Goosebumps, though, is that you have this huge, Goosebumps wasn't just books. It was TV shows, video games, choose your own adventure stories, which I just poured over.
Yeah, give yourself Goosebumps.
Oh god, those are and they're all horrifying books.
Yeah,
they all
really
die.
Yeah, they're all messed up.
They're all messed up.
We were thinking about doing...
I will still want to do
after we finish the original 62, to obviously continue the podcast, and to do live, read and give yourself Goosebumps and make the decision.
See how far we make it.
That's what we do on our show. So we get
fantastic.
We get guests on our show to do that. So I'll read the book and they make the decision. So it becomes
how did I miss that? That's awesome.
We've done a couple of them, and they're really fun because it's, for me...
Well, we're stealing your idea.
Oh, you must... Yeah, it's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because it's an interesting idea, because you do voices, and it just becomes this huge thing of where you can't actually... Me, because I'm reading it, you can't really cheat. You can't really go to that page, because, at the end, they pick it. They don't know what they're doing. And it becomes a crazy thing.
Oh, that's so fun.
So I think that's... Just don't show them the book. Just
we should
totally
take turns.
Yeah. We've only had one guest on our show, actually. We had our friend Deb, her name, Deborah Ann Wool. She was on True Blood, and then she is now on... She was in Daredevil, now she's on The Punisher.
Really?
Defenders on... Yeah. She's Karen Page. Yeah.
So she was on...
Sorry, you don't see this, but I have a really big shit-eating grin on my face.
She was on the Be Careful What You Wish For episode.
And which is a really fun. You should.
That one's really fun.
If you should listen to that episode.
I've listened to a lot of your episodes.
Because at number 12, Deb gets more excited about that book than we do. And there's this one sequence where she reads an entire chapter herself, and it's so amazing to hear her interpretation of it.
See, that's interesting because that's actually Meg's favorite.
Oh wow, book. So, that's a really good one.
She's looking forward to do is how I'm looking forward to doing Cougar Clock and Doom.
Yeah,
it's you all have those books. I can't wait to do this one.
Yeah,
and you do it, and it's I can't wait. This is gonna be an amazing episode.
Yeah. That one's a real gift. That was one where I nothinged it as a kid, and then now rereading it for the podcast, I was like, damn, that one's really good.
It's really dark.
Yeah.
Especially the TV show episode.
I like the TV episode too.
That too.
It's charming.
Though I think one of my favorite TV episodes, but I think the book is piss poor, is The Phantom of the Auditorium.
Okay, I think I'll agree with that.
Just because I think it works better as a visual than it does as a book, because I'm just a huge fan of Phantom of the Opera.
Dan and I were recently on a LGBT horror podcast called Dead for Filth that we guest starred on.
Oh, with Michael
Verratti.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah,
awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
He's a good friend of ours. Oh, cool. I was talking about literally 1925 Phantom of the Opera, but the whole time in the podcast I said Phantom of the Auditorium, thinking I was saying Phantom of the Opera. And Dan was like, you just said Phantom of the Auditorium. You're talking about Phantom of the Opera. I was like, oh, sorry. I didn't realize I was saying that the whole time.
It's just in your body and your brain.
See, that's the same thing. I can't say Nightmare without saying my podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just good old Nightmare on Elm Fear Street. Oh, what am I talking about?
Oh, yeah. I really have a soft spot for Phantom of the Auditorium.
I love it.
When we were rereading that book for our podcast, I was in a play, the play that I was with Melody, who used to live with R.L. Stine. I was literally in this giant theater in Los Angeles, and no one else was in the theater. I stayed late from work one night, and I stayed in the rafters, and I read Phantom of the Auditorium. And to go across the stage, we didn't have a backstage because how the set was.
Okay, so
we had to go underneath the stage.
What theater?
The Geffen Playhouse.
Oh, I've been there before.
Yeah. So underneath the Geffen, there's this really dark.
I think someone was telling me it's pretty much a creepy hallway that you got to go through.
It's a basement that you have to go through, and so there was a part. I wasn't in for. There's a few scenes where I wasn't on stage, and usually I go back to my dressing room. But when I was reading that book, I would hide the book in my costume, walk off stage, go underneath the stage while the play was going on with an audience, and underneath the stage in the basement, read the book till it was my cue to go back on, close the book, leave it in the basement, go on stage, do my scene, then come back and read it.
That's what dreams are made out of.
And what was even greater about it was...
for me, the inner stage manager in me is just like, no!
I know.
But the Goosebumps are like, yeah!
I was kind of troublesome. One of my castmates, his name is Tim Bagley. He's a really talented actor. I'm a huge fan of his. He was in Will and Grace for a few years. He would pick up on the fact that I liked being down in the basement. So what he started to do was, we were both off stage at the same time. When I would go down in the basement, he would hide down there, let me read for a little bit, and then he would jump out and scare me, and he would be in a different place every single show. And we would get in trouble with the stage manager because I would scream, and they're like, there's a show going on upstairs, you have to be quiet. But like, so right now, when I think of Phantom of the Auditorium, I have all those memories with rereading it, being in an actual theater underneath it.
There's like great moments like that. Like for me, I read recently, like some of the Horrorland books, I'll go to Disneyland and I'll just read them. Same as with, like, I've read a couple Mark Twain books while I'm on the Mark Twain riverboat. Or like things like, I like, if you can put yourself into that environment.
Gosh, you gotta start doing that.
Yeah.
Like if you do, you already done Horrorland. So just like,
Hey, I reread them all the time.
yeah, if you never do that,
I'm
it's...
gonna go lock myself in my basement and read Stay Out of the Basement.
Yeah, Daniel has a basement, has a creepy basement.
What?
I do.
Why weren't
It's
we
so rare in Los
recording
Angeles.
this?
That's a really good question. It's a really creepy, it's a terrifying basement.
my God.
We'll have to do another episode and like the shriek
It's
hole.
hard to breathe down there.
It is, yeah, it is kind of like the air. It's like asbestos and stuff like that.
The air is pretty nasty down
Yeah.
there. You should really stay out of it.
We've been talking about having a Goosebumps party, and literally
have Goosebumps themed food.
we've been like taking notes of
Like mud pies.
Well,
That's a good one. We didn't even think about that. No, we were talking about like what are some of the ones that we had?
You have to trick or treat forever, so you just have like a big old tub of candy.
Oh my god, yes.
let's see. We were talking about
We'd have like scrambled eggs for Egg Monsters of Mars. We would have blueberry pancakes for How to Kill a Monster.
That's right.
We definitely have tons of Monster Blood, which would just be like we have like
green Jello.
We could have like what you could do for that is you can easily like make people make like Monster Blood.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we recently had long ago we did an episode where we talked about when we did Monster Blood, where my friend Chris, who does the Mad Scientist podcast, talked to our audience about how you make Monster Blood.
I'll have to look that up.
It's really fun. It's in the episode after that.
Fun. Okay. Yeah, we have to do. Yeah, we've been talking.
And then you should just hire someone that knows ventriloquism.
Yes, to entertain guests.
Like artichokes,
Oh, yeah, spinach dip for Stay Out of the Basement. Because remember when Dr. Brewer tries to feed like
it's all
plant
like
food?
Or like it's like green dyed stuffing. Cause
Yeah.
that's what kind of
That's
like
good.
plant food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the options are endless.
And then like vampire breath.
Yeah, there's something there. Yeah, we could do something with that. That's our next one. I'm really excited to reread.
Yeah, I'll start
one.
reading it today.
You know which one I really like too is Werewolf Skin.
I love the cover for that.
Werewolf Skin's great.
Like just the werewolf and he has the skin and his like eyes just bugging out.
Yeah, I forget that's a Halloween book.
There's not that many Halloween based Goosebumps books either. I think it's
Haunted Mask and
Halloween
2, Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns, and Werewolf Skin. Yeah, it is. It's a Halloween one.
That's great.
Not the whole book, but the end takes place on Halloween.
That's fantastic.
I love the idea of Monster Blood, Vampire Breath, Werewolf Skin. All that stuff makes me so happy.
It's just like little novelty items that you get in the back of a comic book.
Yeah, it's cute. Yeah. Calling All Creeps, that's a good
Creeps
one.
is a blast.
Yeah.
The entire book is just I love that book just because it's just like this is how I imagine the Illuminati.
Yeah.
Like, the lizard people. It's like
I also love.
they just call like the president is is your refrigerator run?
Yeah.
Oh, let me check.
Yeah.
Well, you better go catch it. Ron, this is terrible. I was gonna prank phone call.
I love the end of it too.
Yeah, that one's really messed up. That's a good one too. I always thought they made such a good name for a band, Calling All Creeps.
Calling All Creeps.
Yeah, a lot of like Let's Get Invisible is a good name for a band.
Every Goosebumps book is a great name for
Chills and Thrills.
That's a good one. Night of the Living Dummy sounds like a name for a band.
There's a lot. I think
Scarecrow Walks at Midnight could be like a screamo band.
I mean, there is a band called Ghost Beach.
Ghost Beach.
There's also a band called Say Cheese and Die.
Really?
Yeah, Ghost Beach is
really
amazing.
good. Ghost Beach is really good.
Ghost Beach's music is really, really good.
They have an album called Blonde. That's
really
a summer
amazing.
album.
Just imagine like how I learned to fly, or like
Don't go to sleep.
Don't go to sleep. No, then that's what you call like your ASMR.
Yeah.
Don't go to sleep.
That's the ASMR video.
Yeah,
And you're just like,
Yeah, I guess not all of them kind of work.
Some of them work
The
amazing.
Abominable Snowman of Pasadena.
So wait,
kinda
then like
sounds like
if you have like Battle of the Bands, you have like Night of the Living Dummy 1, and then you have the competing band is Night of the Living Dummy 2.
Night of the Living Dummy.
those great names for bands.
Bride
That
of the
sounds
Living Dummy.
Yeah, Bride Living
You
Dummy.
just have like a bunch of people like they just like have like offshoots of their band.
Yeah.
Oh my god, like
The options are
there's
endless.
so many options.
Yeah.
Go Eat Worms.
Go Eat Worms is a good one.
That just sounds like a punk band.
Yeah,
They all sound
Like an edgy
A
punk
Girl
band.
Grade Monster sounds like a band.
it does. And all their songs are like 2 minutes and it's just pigs squealing for 2 minutes straight and that's it.
Yeah.
It's just like
There's no
Bratmobile.
lyrics.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
You don't even need it. Yeah. Yeah, some good stuff.
There's like so much you could talk about with Goosebumps. It's not even like ridiculous.
This is why we had to make podcasts because we're so passionate about this stuff and we talk about it anyway. Might as well share with other people because clearly other people want to talk about it too.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. The one thing I love is just the response. Like, I know people that listen to like your podcast, my podcast, Teen Creeps, and like all these podcasts, and it's like you can talk about the same. Like we have literally talked about the same books.
Oh,
and we have completely different viewpoints of them.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I love is, like I said, about the horror community is we can coexist. Where I know people like this podcast like don't do our material.
We all want to do all.
Yeah, that's what we all want to do. Like, it's just weird to me.
It's fun to share.
I've got like weird emails like, why do you do this when these people did it first? And I'm just like, can we all talk about Goosebumps and get spooky scary?
Yeah.
I would much rather have too many podcasts about Goosebumps than
None at all.
Then just have like a monopoly of like, how many times have you heard a podcast where it's like you hear like the air conditioning in the back and the mic buzzes and the guy's like too close to the mic.
Yeah.
And it's like you can either make it better or you need to have a nice twist to it. And I feel like all of our shows have a really nice like feel to it.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, we've had so much. It was so much fun. I look forward to it so much when Dan and I. Well, what Dan and I do too. One thing we do is when we read the books, we make them the backgrounds on our phones. Mm-hmm. So it's like you just kind of marinate in this book for the month.
I
might Attack of
I haven't changed.
Oh, they have their. I'm looking at the phones right now. Oh my god!
I haven't changed Attack the Jack-O-Lanterns yet, but
That's so yeah. They have the covers, and that's adorable.
So Halloweeny, but I can't give it up just yet.
No, you can't.
I'll probably change it today.
That's the great thing about like you can't even do like I would love to do like one book review, one book a day for Halloween, but you can't. You have to do it like
I know we do one book a month.
You do one book a month.
Oh yeah,
it's hard, and it's just.
We'll get really. We get really excited about it. Sometimes we'll do like a couple episodes in a month, just because we're just having so much fun with it, and we're anxious to read the next one as fast as possible. Barring life schedules and things like that.
See, that's the interesting thing. Everyone that reads Goosebumps come from much different walks of life. There's not like people like Harry Potter or like Twilight or like things like in that nature. Whereas Goosebumps is kids get scared and they're scared of different things, so how can we exploit this?
And you moved around a lot as a kid.
Oh, I moved
almost all.
So the three books that I had the most were I had All a Series of Unfortunate Events, I had Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury.
Of course, yeah, that's Charles Stine's favorite book.
And I had A Cuckoo Clock of Doom. So I remember in middle school I moved like 7 times in 1 year.
Wow.
There's like weird things that would happen and I would always keep these books.
Yeah.
And just for me to like both meet R.L. Stine, and I actually had a chance to meet Ray Bradbury, but I didn't quite. I had like a funny Ray, not really funny, but just like I didn't know who he was. But it was man, look at this crazy old guy.
Yeah.
But if I had like a time machine, I just like slap myself.
Yeah. Oh man.
Okay.
It's like because I went yesterday, actually, because it was not the time of this recording was actually National Authors Day, so I actually went up to.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was National. Author's Day, so I actually went up to Westwood Cemetery and I went to pay my respects to Ray Bradbury.
Oh, wow.
And this is what was there that day, if you want to describe it.
Oh my gosh, there's a little literally a jack-o'-lantern that someone carved, and flowers, and a balloon, and a little gorilla on his
So it was all there. It was.
Oh, that's
and the jack-o'-lantern has a 4, 5, and a 1 hit for Fahrenheit
451. That is.
It's like it's like the greatest way to honor somebody.
That's so amazing.
I'm excited.
And you got there, and that you showed up, and that was there.
It was all there. That's how I knew. No one else. I'm not saying no one else had left flowers and stuff, but it was like it was really like you could easily see.
Yeah.
Like
whose was his,
and because there's like Westwood Cemetery has like Marilyn Monroe. I think it has Hugh Hefner now.
Yeah, he's right next to her.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is like you have to actually like walk and go to like this like really nice quiet place. There's like no one bothered me. I was there for like a good 30 minutes, just like
we've been talking about going.
Yeah.
Remember my friend Kat, who I was telling you about, who with other podcasts, she goes frequently just because she loves it.
And it's a weird cemetery, just because it's like you wouldn't know there's a cemetery there unless you physically knew where it was.
Yeah.
Which you have to like go through like office buildings and stuff. And you walk through and it's just quiet.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I have an idea of where it is. I should go.
Oh yeah, I can just give you the address.
Yeah. That sounds amazing.
It's like probably like 15 minutes from here. It's in Westwood.
Well, I think as kids, we don't move as much as you did, but we moved a fair amount
around,
and that was something that was always consistent. Was
Goosebumps books,
whatever school we were going to or whatever new environment or state that we were in, the Goosebumps books stayed the same, and we could count on that kind of thing. And there's something about the consistency of that in a kind of a crazy childhood that I think deepened the love that we have for it now.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely. For me, I find that, you might move around, but your real home is like both, for me, I find comfort in books and movies and stuff, so I watch the same movies, I read the same
Totally.
books. And those were technically like the pseudo home.
Yeah, completely.
And that's why like when I met R.L. Stine and like, it was interesting because the book that I had is like this ratty old book that's literally falling apart.
Yeah.
This is the first book that I bought.
Yeah.
And like he was signing books and people like, some people weren't even saying like thank you or something. Like they just sign it and they just walk away.
Yeah.
And like I stopped there and he looks at it and it's all like ratty and stuff. And like this book has some like wear to it. And I was just like, this is like the first book that I bought. And like he stopped, looked at me and shook my hand. And I was like, I was just about to cry. I was like,
Totally.
Hey, I do a podcast about your work. Oh yeah, I listened to a clip of it and I was like...
And just deceased. Yeah.
And this was like, after that I felt like super like, it was like a weird like limbo high. I was like, did this really just happen?
Yeah.
And it's like, he didn't need to necessarily stop and say anything. He could have just kept writing and stuff and like took time to talk to me when there's like hundreds of people. And even though it was probably like a 30-second conversation, it was like, it's an eternity.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times people ask, you probably get this question, or if you don't get this question, this would be your answer, I feel like. But a lot of people are like, if you could have dinner with any person, dead or alive, who would you want to, whatever? And I'm like, R.L. Stine.
Well, for me, it would be like a dinner party, so I'd have to have R.L. Stine and Ray Bradbury.
Yeah.
Just imagine having those two people like in the same room.
Yeah.
I would just want to sit back and listen to... I was like, I wouldn't have to say a thing. I would just want to see them like talk with each other.
Yeah.
It's like, that would be a really fun idea for like a podcast. Is like a dinner party with people that both living and dead, and the joke is like they either like each other or hate each other.
Yeah.
Like, I just have like this weird curiosity of doing like a Thunderdome, but with like Stephen King and R.L. Stine, and like you have
wonder what they would be like
you have like two
together.
typewriters.
Yeah.
And like you have to write a story in like 30 minutes.
Gosh.
Like, that'd be a
Steve King.
I love that you mentioned in the Night of the Living Dummy episode you were talking about how Chris and Lindy's mother was reading a Stephen King book, and it was like a quick little snippet, like shout out to the kids there. It's like, after you get done with these, you can move on to adult horror with Stephen King.
See, Daniel always did. I never really grew up. I still
There's
only read
some Stephen King that I like, but the ones I like are very goosebumpy. Like,
Yeah.
I loved Needful Things.
Yeah.
Firestarter is my favorite Stephen King book because it's the most goosebumpy out of all. Like, Stephen King's like, how dare you? And R.L. Stine's like, yes.
Yeah.
But it was like one
I
of
get that. That's so fun.
It's just an
Have
interesting...
you read Firestarter? I haven't.
I don't think I've read Firestarter.
So it's Firestarter. The funny thing is,
I've
it's
seen the movie,
with Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
But the book's much better because it's like, have you ever read The Road by?
No.
Yeah, Kat has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie? It's about the kid and the guy and his son of the
I
apocalypse.
haven't.
It's just a really interesting story about a father and daughter who the daughter has powers to blow people up and make fire. And it's just like everyone has a nice story and it works, and it's one of those books where I can see it and just be like, this is where Goosebumps is like, you get a little snippet of it and you get like this huge book. I love that. Actually, R.L. Stine has written 2 adult horror books. He's written Superstition and Red Rain.
Red Rain.
And they're both really good books, but you'd imagine he would want to write more of those. But
Yeah, you would think. Well, he did, The
Dangerous?
Sitter and Eye Candy? Does that count?
What
Were
were
those?
Yes.
I have those over there somewhere.
Dangerous Girls?
Dangerous Girls was like a young adult.
Yeah, but I'm talking more like
But yes,
adult,
adult.
and
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing. Like, he wants to write more for kids and young adults than he does for actual adults, because
I think his writing is better suited for kids
I think so too.
or younger, or
for
younger.
us.
Yeah, for us.
Yeah, totally.
And it's like one of those nice
Today
things.
broke.
Yeah.
What?
If it ain't broke,
If it ain't don't fix it.
Fix it. Yeah.
And that's what he likes to do. And I just can imagine like him waking up and just thinking about like his entire life.
Yeah.
And just being like, yeah, I really accomplished like when you can safely say I've touched a generation. Oh yeah. You've touched a generation.
Oh yeah, his impact is immense.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the greatest. I remember you probably already know this, but like there was some interview where he's talking about where he got his ideas for books, and he would start with the title first, and he was like, what the example he gave was like The Little Shop of Hamsters, because he was like, that was such a ridiculous title, but then he like came up with it as a joke, but then the more he thought about it, he ended up writing a book about a little shop of hamsters, which is hilarious.
Yes. There's like so many, and he has like a bunch of horror posters on the wall. And he's also a product of like horror comics.
Yes, so completely, and you can pick up on it in his writing.
And it's interesting to see that now he's actually writing comic books.
Yeah.
Full circle.
I read the Man-Thing, at least number 1.
We reviewed that for the show. It was fun. We haven't gone through that because we just got so busy.
Of course.
I haven't even. I need to delve in.
Yeah, you can read mine.
They're really good.
Yeah.
I think that's all the time we have for you guys. Yeah. Unfortunately.
No, of course. Thanks.
We can talk about. I'm just saving my listeners. They're probably like, I guess 6 hours from now I could be in like Vegas, but let's.
This was so fun. I mean, this is my favorite thing to talk about.
Oh no, this is my favorite thing to talk about.
Yeah.
I just came from work, so all my work clothes, but I would be wearing a Goosebumps shirt like you guys.
Yeah. We'll have to do a sequel sometime.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Maybe when the Goosebumps 2 movie, if that ever comes out.
If that ever comes out. Do you see the post the other day?
Yeah. That's like a weird thing. Mm-hmm. But we're getting all the Fear Street movies, and those are in production. We're getting a babysitter one. That's the one that he's.
Well, hopefully, I have some inside scoop on the babysitter.
I also.
Do you know something different?
Well, I know the director. For all of the.
A friend of mine was asked to write the babysitter movie, but she ended up turning it down. Yeah. And she told me, she was like, I feel so guilty, but there's reasons why she couldn't do it. And she's like, I just feel like I have to tell you this, that like, I'm not going to be doing it. Yeah, she's like, I feel guilty because I know how much it means to you, but I
Yeah, and you're not friends with her anymore?
Yeah, so we don't speak anymore.
Big on.
Yeah, I know. I was saying
just imagine you're friends with the person, like you're just like there, hey, just put that in there.
I kind of like, in fact, maybe I'll text her after this and be like, hey, maybe you should change your mind.
To start putting in your own little nuggets of...
Yeah.
And then there's a cameo from these two awesome twins.
I have a draft. Why don't you just take this one?
Yeah, kind of like, it's like ready to go.
It's like, how many pages do you have? 75. It's all written in crayons. I did last night.
What's so great? I was telling Zach that I reread all the babysitter books.
Yes, recently, I remember.
And what my nastiest fantasy would be them to make a movie based on the babysitter books or any Fear Street books and just take it word for word what else I wrote.
Oh no!
I've fashion word for terrible clothes.
But see,
1992 or whatever it is.
Possible. So I'm so sorry for interrupting, but it's more possible now thanks to Stranger Things to have a period piece like that.
Please,
where I'm pretty sure that's what they're gonna go for.
I hope so,
because people were actually complaining that why wasn't the Goosebumps movie set in the 90s? And that would have been so much better.
Things are so much scarier without cell phones. You know what I mean?
That's why period pieces work now.
Yeah, and so like the idea of there being like a hyper millennial Fear Street with a bunch of like.
So that's why like the Breakfast Club wouldn't work now if they remade it. The first thing they'd have to do is they have to take away the cell phone.
So take away this. Yeah, it never occurred to me that the Fear Street. It never occurred to me that the Fear Street movies wouldn't be.
Well, there's new Fear Street books. Have you read the recent ones? They're really good.
I know. I haven't read any of them. I picked one up.
He came out. There's been a few this year. Give Me a Kill came out this year, which was a recent cheerleader
Regardless, I still think because they're so deeply rooted in like
the 80s, 90s,
the 80s, like.
Of course I would want that.
That's why I believe it's more, because a lot of things are going period now.
I hope so.
So,
I really hope so
Stranger Things, I'm pretty sure maybe that might be the direction, because you could easily have it like Scream.
Yeah.
So I just imagine like the big old phone, is like looking out the window.
Yeah, I think
the director of the Fear Street movies is the wife of one of the Stranger Things creators and directors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
So let's keep it in the family.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
And then all of a sudden, like, all the people like, hi guys, we just moved in here from Hawkins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you just like, I can just like imagine the score already. It's just by Kyle Dixon.
Oh, that would be great.
Oh god, just like it's puked off the 90s.
Fingers crossed. That's what I want.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
Well, thanks guys for coming on.
Thank you so much for having us,
Zach. This is a blast.
Where can they find you guys?
So, find us on iTunes. Search for...
Yeah, it's Welcome to Deadcast. Deadcast is our
Or you can search
podcast.
Goosebumps. We should show up under podcasts.
Yeah,
and you can say hey to us on Instagram or Twitter. My Twitter is Daniel Montgomery minus the last E, and then just Daniel Montgomery, and then my Instagram is Daniel X Montgomery.
My Instagram is Matthew_Scott_Montgomery. I know. And my Twitter is iRobotUJane, which is a Buffy episode. And I'm in love with both my handles, so deal with it. But if you message us on there, we'll almost always respond. I always want to talk about Goosebumps stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And we're such a fan of you and your podcast. Thank you so much for having us on. It's been a long time coming, and I'm so glad we finally.
Oh my god, you don't see this, guys, but I'm blushing right now. Oh my god, you just made my day.
Yay, spread the Goosebumps love, you guys.
Yeah, spread the Goosebumps love.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at Suda41, SUDA. If you want to follow our show, you can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, and maybe that old weird homeless guy that keeps shouting in the backyard. he likes our show. And you can follow us on Twitter at Night Fear Street. If you want to follow our Patreon so me and Meg can get spooky mani-pedis, you can find us on Patreon/Nightmare on Fear Street. Well, I'm Zach.
I'm Matthew Scott Montgomery.
I'm Daniel Montgomery.
And stay spooky! Bye!
Bye, guys.